This is a message for Colin Kaepernick. And for what it's worth, I think you were blackballed from football for exercising your speech, and that's not right. Except in extreme circumstances, no man should pay with his livelihood for speaking his mind. And I'm sure that's why no team has picked you up. Then again, while I'm a casual fan, I'm a bit out of my element when it comes to the X's and the O's of the NFL. And might I suggest that when it comes to Mumia Abu-Jamal, you are similarly out of your depth. I see that you've just called for the immediate release of this convicted cop killer, claiming that he was framed by a racist police department for the 1981 murder of Officer Danny Faulkner.
He had no record before he was arrested and framed for the death of a Philadelphia police officer. Since 1981, Mumia has maintained his innocence. His story has not changed. Mumia was shot, brutalized, arrested, and chained to a hospital bed. The first police officer assigned to him wrote in a report that the Negro male made no comment, as cited in Philly Mag. Yet 64 days into the investigation, another officer testified that Mumia had confessed to the killing. Mumia's story has not changed.
This is a subject I know a little something about. You could say that I literally wrote the book. This book. 2008, I co-authored Murdered by Mumia with Danny Faulkner's widow, Maureen. It was briefly a New York Times bestseller. By the way, neither of us accepted any proceeds from the sale of the book. So here's the short version based on trial testimony. On December 9, 1981, at about 4 a.m., 25-year-old Daniel Faulkner was executed while making what seemed like a routine traffic stop. Faulkner pulled over the brother of Abu-Jamal, a.k.a. Wesley Cook, who was driving his car the wrong way on a one-way street. Abu-Jamal was then working as a taxi driver. He saw the police stop from across the street. And 4 eyewitnesses testified at trial as to what happened next. Their testimony portrayed a horrific sequence. Abu-Jamal ran across the street, shot Officer Faulkner in the back, and then finally between the eyes. Before that final fatal shot, Officer Faulkner had himself discharged his gun, hitting Abu-Jamal in the stomach. With that bullet, you could say that he confirmed the identity of his executioner. When police arrived, Abu-Jamal was still wearing his shoulder holster. The murder weapon registered to him was next to him on the ground at the murder scene. He'd purchased it at a local sporting goods store. Ballistics tests verified that the bullets found in Abu-Jamal's gun were the same caliber, brand, and type as the fatal bullet removed from Officer Faulkner's brain. Both men were taken to a local ER. Faulkner was pronounced dead. Abu-Jamal was heard by witnesses, including a security guard, to say, "I shot the MFer, and I hope the MFer dies." So the case had eyewitnesses, a ballistics match, and a confession. Danny Faulkner left behind a young widow, Maureen, who for 4 decades has stood up to a torrent of lies and misinformation about the case. For reasons that have never made any sense, Abu-Jamal has, over the years, become the darling of Hollywood activists, rock bands, documentarians, and college students. Mumia is a former Black Panther, a charismatic character who snowed a lot of people over 40 years with rhetoric that is simply nonsense. And now he seeks to do so with a new generation led, apparently, by Colin Kaepernick. Whenever I'm educating someone about the case, in addition to what I've just told you, I always like to underscore one fact. Abu-Jamal's brother, William Cook, he saw it all. His words to police upon their arrival were, "I ain't got nothing to do with it." And he has never testified on his brother's behalf. Let me say that again. The brother of the man convicted of killing the cop has himself never taken the stand to tell a different story, and he was there. In 1982, a multiracial jury heard the case. They convicted Abu-Jamal, then sentenced him to death. For a quarter century, an endless cycle of Abu-Jamal appeals made a mockery of the judicial system. His defense team attracted a long list of celebrity supporters. A street was named for him in France. NPR gave him his own radio show. He wrote several books. This all after he was convicted of murdering a cop. But at home in Philadelphia, Abu-Jamal was never able to cultivate broad community support. People at home know what happened, and never bought into the Hollywood lure. In 2011, Abu Jamal's death sentence was ultimately overturned on a technicality. He's currently serving life without parole. Abu Jamal will die in jail, a fate more civilized than that which he gave to Danny Faulkner. So thank you, Mr. Kaepernick, for listening. I should note you were invited to be on this program. I was told that you aren't doing any interviews on the subject. You should know that Maureen Faulkner, police officer Danny Faulkner's widow, would love to talk to you about the case. Will you take that meeting?